Alright, welcome everyone. Costin here with more Final Fantasy Online. I'll be starting in just... Okay, welcome everyone. Costin here with more Final Fantasy Online. I'm just gonna go into system customization and change a couple of things maybe about all of this. Let's see, graphic setting, nope. Should I enable... Yeah, I think I'm gonna enable anti-aliasing if I do have... When I find it... FXA, yeah? Alright. Okay, and once you arrive... Alright, let me see something about character customization. What I'm looking for over here is the option to... I'm pretty sure there is an option. So, control settings, okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Item settings, nope. UI settings. So, restore... What I'm looking for is a chat box option that would turn, like, would turn it off. Would turn it off, yeah. Alright, so... So, like, when I have a conversation with an NPC, I can... Okay, hold on. Enable city state. Hold on, actually a second. Just gonna check something out here. So there's some weird copyright on some of the music in this game, so I've disabled that. Alright. Hall of the Novice. Okay. What am I looking at here, really? Alright, the game is telling me go this way. But there doesn't seem to be anything here. So no. Okay. All right, all right. The whole of the novice. What's with this damn map anyway? Okay, I'm just gonna go to upper. Nope. I mean, the maps can be pretty annoying sometimes in this game. Either way. So I need to go all around here and then go upstairs and then... Oh, let me guess. I see. I see how it is then. A confusing fucking mess. This is what this is. Yeah. Speak with a seasoned adventurer. I think I've attuned myself, but I'm just making sure. Yeah, okay. All good. No, hold on a second. Upper level. That's where I want to be. Yep. Go to the upper level. Find the damned way out of the city. What a confusing mess this game is. I don't think I've been lost in MMO city in quite a while. Hello, hello, Cirrus. And to everyone joining in. I'm lost in wherever the hell this is. Good. Okay, good. So, or is it good? No, I don't know. Well, it's better than nothing. Okay, so I'm not attuned to that one. I am gonna go south. And what do you mean I'm not attuned to that one? What the crap? Well, I need to go to Western Lanos, right? Because that's where... And like, I didn't know how to get out of the city through there, so... Anyway, I'm just gonna go here. I do like how the sword looks like, the one that I have right now. I'm less interested in the camera control, I admit. So, control settings. Maintain camera distance, how about no? Well, right. Yeah, the boat icon. But the boat and whatever. Yellow jackets, huh? Either way, I'm just gonna get the Morabi Dry Docks attunement here. And then I'll see where I go from there. Despite being surrounded on all sides by the sea, freshwater remains difficult to come by when okay. That's a nice sentiment, let's just call it that. Stop the evil jackals from ruining our water supply. How do I... Okay. A mega crab. Upper Lenasia, upper paths. Once you start getting, yeah. That, I suppose, is the thing. Though I suppose I would be in favor of easier navigation instead of having to rely on these teleport points, to be quite honest with you. When do I get a mount? What do I need to get a mount, even? Alright, so looking at this map, it's through here. A megal crab, whatever they call it. Okay, that will do. There we are. Okay, good. Yeah, I need to go there. Mount is main story shortly after the first 3 dungeons. You're on the dungeon for first. You're on the quest for first dungeon, so you're almost there. Okay. So I just need to do this. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing how things are gonna be, really. Ah, okay. The occupants of the caves are rumored to be as numerous, okay. I think I've already done the smithing. Speak with the yellow jacket at the entrance. Okay. It's dungeon time. Kinda wish there was a quest to give you a helmet to go along with this particular set that I have. But I suppose helmets aren't necessarily popular in Final Fantasy. Please tell me. Yeah. So when we receive word. Duty. Okay. Dungeons. Let's find. Alright, as always, you need to wait for people. On average, less than 2 minutes. I'm just gonna wait around here. After a period of relative silence following the calamity, the Serpent Reavers have once again taken to terrorizing the inland hamlets of Lanasia. Or however... Nasia? I guess? Nasia, I suppose? Killing the men, kidnapping the women, children, plundering the storehouses, and burning what little they leave behind. For years, there was no unknown how the pirates were able to reach areas so far from the coast, until a local shepherd sighted a band of painted ruffians entering the Sashta Shah Seagrot, carrying large quantities of sacks and crates. Could it be that there is more to this cave than meets the eye? Could be. So, just waiting. Waiting and waiting. I know it's pretty early. I know that plenty of people are probably not necessarily interested in doing this, which is a leveling dungeon. I guess that's kind of the issue of so... How do you deal with this if you can't... How do you advance the story if you can't, you know, do the actual dungeon you're supposed to? Either way, it doesn't matter too much right now, but... There is a leveling roulette that can put people into the first dungeon to the last one. Also mentor roulettes that will place mentors into any instance content. I see. Well, we got 1 DPS at least. Probably gonna have to wait those 5 minutes. We'll see. That's a spawning grounds. We have another dungeon there. So yeah. Well, if I'm gonna have to do 3 dungeons back to back, it's gonna be an interesting experience right now. But that's what you get sometimes. Don't play video games in the morning. No one's gonna be interested in watching them. I like how when you kick it, like feels like you're hitting hitting them with a mountain. There we go. Healer, DPS, no problem. Let's get started. The journey begins, the fun begins. Come on, don't tell me someone's not gonna press the fucking ready button in the queue. GG, no re. Ah, don't be like this. Don't do this. I don't want to be in the queue anymore. Get me out of here. Get me out. That's how I feel. Hello. Unusual stuff. Final Fantasy Online right now. I wanted to ask, like, how, let me just... You're fine if I stream the comms, right? You're fine if I stream the comms?
Flying the comms?
Stream. So the stream hears the comms. What you're saying. I usually have them muted because...
Oh, yeah, I'm fine if you're streaming.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, clearing instance raids. Let's see. So activate the cold trigger.
Sorry, I was a bit distracted because I was about to die.
How, when it comes to raiding in the game, or high-level play, like, how much grinding you need to do for gold, consumables, gear, all that kind of stuff to be able to get into raiding?
Just about none.
Oh, that's good. Because, yeah, that's one of the things I really dislike about WoW these days. It's like, yeah, the grinding used to work back then, but...
Like, if you have just the one class that you want to raid on that's leveled, then you might have to do a little bit more grinding. But as you progress in the game and level other stuff and, you know, just kind of make your way through the game, you will find that, like, your grinding just kind of happens. Because, for example, let's say you're on your 3rd job or something and you're not necessarily at level cap, but somewhat high level, let's say 60 plus.
Yeah.
You're going to do dungeons, you're going to do activities to level up that is going to give you probably a bunch of gear you might not need, or you might have like no immediate need for them, but you can convert those into seals at your grand company, and the seals can be then converted into things you can sell on the market board. So it can be a source of passive income just by you playing the game and getting drops you don't need.
I see.
And, you know, just doing that kind of stuff, like quest rewards, you can eventually you can send your retainers on ventures, which basically you can have venture seals through your grand company. So that's another way you can turn the seals into money, is getting your retainer to go over ventures, and then they'll bring you back stuff you can sell or disenchant to sell, and so on and so forth. So a lot of your income can be either passive or through other source of play that you're doing for other reason than just money.
I see.
I never really found myself in need of money to buy consumables for raid. Like, those are very cheap, and it just happens.
Yeah, it seems reasonable. Because, like, for instance, one of the reasons I quit TBC is just I was so done having to grind as gold.
Yeah, like it's the same for me. I was like, oh, look at that, my sub is ended and my stockpile of gold is drying up. Time to call it.
Yeah, I think that's where, you know, the gold selling comes into play, because a lot of people do that. It's like, well, I have real life money and I want to keep playing the game. Let me just buy some gold. I'm just not happy with that idea.
No, like I could get gold by doing all of the quests in the zone that I haven't done.
Yeah, I have two characters that are 70. I haven't really done much in Shadow Moon or Netherstorm on either of them, but it's like, it still would be like 10 hours of my life that I don't want to spend. And honestly, like, and it's just like, there's other factors as well, of course. WoW has a very toxic player base these days, and it's like,
yeah,
you see it on retail with, yeah, it's like, well, I mean, you worked for them, right? So, was this ever a conversation they had, or it's like it's something they care? Because I feel like Blizzard just doesn't give a shit at all about the problem, and I think it is a problem. They should try and resolve.
Well, I mean, I wasn't at Blizzard, so I can't say for that. I was on another Activision studio, but the thing that I can say is, at the very least, for that Activision studio, the overarching feeling that I had was that in general they don't really care about the players. It's you know, they're not players, they're payers kind of mentality. So because like they're rolling in money, like Call of Duty just makes so much money. It makes like 10 times more money as well, and like as long as the company is doing whatever it's doing and that the money keeps coming in, like, how are you wrong, you know?
Yeah, I see.
So like there's never really going to be effective change, in my opinion, as long as the money keeps pouring in.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that kind of pissed me off about the whole scandal of Blizzard, there were some developers like, oh, please don't boycott Blizzard games because it would actually hurt our bottom lines. It's like, fuck your bottom line. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I mean,
it just felt like such a self-serving statement, because it was like a female developer that said that as well. It's like, oh, it's gonna hurt my maternity leave, or you know, when I'm getting work. Okay, so it's like you care about the treatment of female employees, but only to the point that it doesn't affect you in a negative way financially, right? It's like,
yeah. Well, I mean that's a.
It's normal. I understand it's human, but still, it's like
it's a very human thing. It's like, you know, racism is the same thing. It's like, as long as it doesn't affect you, you know, a lot of people are kind of oblivious to it.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. Like for me, it's like I feel that I can speak on this level because I wasn't happy the way it was going on in the company, and I quit. I wasn't asking for favors or for people to be like, well, there's good people. It's like, no, if you morally disagree with something, then you have the opportunity to take a stance, or you have to basically just bow your head and accept it.
Yeah, I guess that's the issue. What I have with Blizzard developers is they bowed their heads and accepted what was going on multiple levels, not just the lawsuit things, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it's that bad, they have a choice to go somewhere else as well. And the thing is, to an extent, the reason why a lot of people don't do so, and why Blizzard has been able to survive with these practice for a long time, is because so many people that work there are fans of the games. They're fans of Blizzard, and they're riding that old, you know, Blizzard kind of clout, you know?
Yeah, I see.
So,
well, I mean,
like,
there is that reputation that Blizzard does have.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it was like, you know, like dream, you know, from childhood, like, hey, I was raised playing Warcraft 2, and like, you know, you get to a point where you get to work for the company. There's something kind of magical to it, but it's, I don't know, it's, the dream is kind of shattering. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I hear you there. It's like, in a way, I think a lot of the old timers, the original crew, became very arrogant at Blizzard over the years. Like that's Madsen, Morhaime, all those guys, like virtually everyone. Like I think they let their success get to their heads, to be honest.
There's probably a part of that. Yeah, I wouldn't discount that. I don't know if that's the case, but I mean, if I was in those kind of shoes back then, like, you know, 2004, you know, at the age that I was, at the maturity level that I was, I have no shame in saying that I was kind of a shithead at that time. And over the years, you get older, you mature, but man, I can't fathom how I would have been different if I would have been a millionaire in a point in time where I was most of kind of a dick, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's how you get someone like a Yolosapien, I suppose. Being how he is. Though, to be fair, with the Yolosapien, it's more the case that he was always a prick, even before he joined Blizzard. And they hired him anyway, so it's like, yeah. Yolosapien is a toxic shithead? Who would have known, except the entire EverQuest community who knew exactly that.
I didn't know him beforehand, and I was like really not into the know about that. But like, if it was already kind of known, and I mean, that's kind of a little bit of a bummer on the HR, I suppose.
Well, he was a really top-end EverQuest player, but he also had the reputation of being just very toxic in the community, and so it's like Blizzard just didn't care about that. Like, one of the things that you hear is like one of the things that pisses me off with Blizzard developers is that they don't even care to interact with their own community anymore, and then it's like, oh, they're too toxic. Well, if you have a toxic community, maybe that's the way you build the game, really.
Yeah, I really believe that, like, when it comes, I mean, at least in my opinion as a dev, you get the community that you build.
Yep.
And whether you build it through how you relate to it, or you build it through how your game systems foster a certain kind of thing, I mean, you know, you build a certain game to appeal to a certain amount of people, so there's a direct correlation to it. You can't ignore that.
Might you consider a parlay? Parlay. Yeah, this is good.
Like if you were to build like the most elite PvP full loot kind of game where you know every player is a predator or a prey to another player, and that you don't, like, you just leave the community to its devices, it's going to turn into a shit show real quick. But like, that's the game you set out to build, right?
Yeah.
So, and like, if you don't do anything about it, and then you just be like, well, our community's toxic, like, you can't really blame the community for it. Like, that's the kind of game you build. I feel there's a little bit of that going on with the Blizzard and the WoW community at the moment.
Oh, there's a lot more than that. Like, retail is extremely toxic, for instance. Like, to a level, it makes you toxic if you play it. That's kind of the issue of it. It's like I've not seen so much toxicity as I've seen in Mythic Pluses on retail.
Yeah, well, Mythic Plus is a system that kind of breeds toxicity. Like, the premise of it is that if you don't succeed, you lose something. You lose your key, you lose your time. Like, it's like from the get-go, it's contingent to, you have to either succeed or you lose your progress. You lose basically your week in a way, because you lose your key and all that, and then you have to find other people to basically jump into their group. So like at the minimum, you basically want people to do what they're supposed to do and win and make sure, because like you just from entering the space, the stakes are already set to be high.
Yeah, I know what you're saying here. I mean, it's also created a kind of mentality like you cannot in any way accept, yeah. Like people will just leave groups even if they wipe once, or it's like, and you say the same thing in raiding, like if you're pug raiding and all that. And then people say, oh, it's better if you're playing in a guild, but joining a guild is just not like the hoops you have to jump through. Not really worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's not a solution to say that, oh yeah, if you join a guild, everything will be fine. Well, if the rest of the game's community is absolute trash, how, like, that's not solving the problem. It's just like playing in a way that you're ignoring the issue.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you have guilds, guilds are part of a community, and if the community is very toxic, like, guilds are going to be very toxic too. Like, yeah. they won't magically not be toxic. I mean, there will be, you know, exceptions and all that. I'm just saying on the majority, you know, like if you take a community, let's say that is 70% toxic, we could expect 70% of the guilds to be toxic too. Like, you know, it's the same people at the end of the day that makes guild in the community.
Yeah, it's kind of that. Hold on. Okay, no. The best raiding, huh. The best raiding is just having a fixed group you can raid with. I mean, that's the case in WoW as well, sure, but I kind of think, like, in a way, this is the problem. Like, Blizzard has embraced this mentality. It's like, oh, you can complete all the content even if you play with randoms. Like, this is the issue of LFR and the issue of, like, pug raiding that's become so prevalent on retail. It's the problem is that it just it creates, like, it disincentivizes communities playing communities of players actually, you know, playing together. And yeah, there lies the thing, like TBC, vanilla, and all that. They're very much community driven. You need to be in a guild if you're gonna be successful there, or you want to be in a guild. Like, sure, you can pug raid in vanilla classic and TBC classic, but yeah. LFR was a good idea. I really don't think LFR was a good idea, honestly. I just, like, I don't think raid difficulties in general have been a good idea for Blizzard, to be quite honest about it. Like, I've always been against it. I hated it in Wrath.
I think 3 levels of difficulty, well, 4 if you count LFR, was a mistake. Yeah. But, like, 2 levels is fine. Like, especially in a game like 14 where you want to see the story, because there's a good element of story involved in the raiding scene. So having it at normal difficulty or story mode where you get through it is easy enough that everybody gets to it, and inconsequential enough that the high-end raiding scene doesn't really care for it. Mm-hmm. But then you get the Savage difficulty, which is equivalent to higher-end heroic / mythic in a way. But you know, that's the difficulty that it is. So you have to get good enough to clear it. But it's not like, well, there's difficulties for everyone. Because, like, let's face it, even in retail, does anybody care about people clearing heroics? Like, people care about who's clearing mythic, but nobody cares about whoever's clearing whatever else.
Well, the issue I have with multiple raiding difficulties is what Blizzard has used it to do at the same time. So, like, while they've introduced multiple raiding difficulties, they also started to significantly reduce the number of raids. Like, maybe you get 3 raids per expansion now, right? And the number of bosses that you get, the number of unique encounters that you get, is significantly lower. I mean, look at RAF, where they introduced the system of multiple difficulties. Like, you have Nax, which is a reused raid. You have World War, which is... The only two real raids of RAF are, like, World War and Icecrown. That's it. Nax 2.0 is just a reused raid that's pretty much a pile of crap in that. And yet it's something that you have to do for, like, 5-6 months with RAF the Lich King. It's not fun. And then TOGC, which is, like, the ultimate laziness, because it's, like, a raid built around the single room. So yeah, just
I mean,
like this is the issue. Like, this is the issue with what Blizzard's doing. It's like they use the idea of having multiple difficulties. Like, oh, we can make less content. Like TBC, for instance, has the largest number of raid bosses in the history of the game, in the entire history of the game, of any expansion. The only one that compares is like Mist of Pandaria, and that's only if you count the world bosses that Mist comes even close.
That's true.
So basically, it's like what Blizzard has started doing after RAF is like every half year we make a raid tier we release some raid content, and that's good enough for people for half a year. And it's like we blast it on an easy difficulty, and then it's like, oh, you have the higher difficulties to play. I don't know. Like, I always enjoyed. I always enjoyed.
Oh, it's almost like they use that higher difficulty as an excuse for content. It's like, oh no, it's not the same. It's harder now.
Yeah, that's basic. Yeah, that's the issue. Like, that's the actual issue. I don't necessarily care about difficulty levels in raiding per se in a vacuum, but I care in the way that they've been implemented in WoW, which is like is just a way for them to be cheap, basically.
I mean, it's kind of a chicken egg situation as well. Like, because you have more raid difficulty, you need to do more tuning, and therefore it takes more time, and therefore you can't do as much content. But it's okay because more raid difficulty is more content, and it's kind of that fallacy that just keeps feeding itself.
Basically. I'm almost dead.
When I think about like how much raid content you get in FF on a patch cycle, it's quite similar in a way, but it feels simultaneously less and simultaneously more at the same time. Like, you get just the same amount of bosses, but they're kind of spread in. They're not all in one raid.
So you have more locations at the very least to experience. That's one thing as well to say, because like a raid environment also matters, not just about the bosses. Like having to go to Nafria, for instance, over and over and over again every week on multiple difficulty levels is not enjoyable.
Yeah, well, so like in FF you'll get the same sort of area for the whole expansion, if you will. They'll vary a little bit, but like, for example, if we take like Heaven's Word at level 60, the whole raiding scene was about Alexander, so it was the same area, like throughout the patches. You know, like the next tier of it was just more Alexander, and then the next tier was more Alexander. But the fights were unique enough and varied enough, and the storyline that is attached to it and everything makes you interested in what's going on.
Well, that's also the problem. The storyline of WoW is not good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, nobody really takes it seriously anymore because they massacred all of the lore.
But how often do you get an expansion or a major or a raid tier to come out in Final Fantasy? Because that's also something that matters.
Yeah, so it's been about their schedule has been very, very like clockwork. It's been quite the achievement, in my opinion. Like, they get a major tier every 6 months, and they get like an expansion every 2 years.
All right, so it's basically the same as WoW. Okay.
Yeah, but they don't delay it, and you can get sure that it will be delivered on time. Like, it has been on clockwork. Like, you have you know, the expansion came out. 6 months later, you have the .1 patch. 6 months later, you have the .2 patch. 6 months later, you have the .3 patch, and then you get like subsequent smaller patches in between with some minor content releases. But like the major raid tiers and all that, it's about 6 months, and then 2 years you get another expansion.
I see. So basically, Final Fantasy is following in the retail WoW model. It's just different in that it doesn't have as bad storytelling or as many bad feelings surrounding it as WoW does.
Yeah. And the thing is, once you've like, let's say you finished quote unquote with the raid tier, you've gotten, you know, you've cleared a couple of times. You got your best in slot gear for the one job that you have. There's nothing stopping your team from continuing with the raid, but like exchanging roles. So maybe your tank wants to heal, you want a tank, whatever. Like, people change classes, then start to try to clear the raid again on roles they're less familiar with. Or you can go into past raids if you have never really done them, and that's another progression that you can do. There's also the super hard ultimate versions of fight that are so challenging that like people spends like on average about 70 hours per fight to clear them, just off progressions. So like, while the raiding season might only last like a month or two, there's nothing stopping you from not playing the game and just enjoying another game and then coming back when the next year comes back. You won't be super far behind because your best in slot gear will still be best in slot. You won't be like months of farming of borrowed powered system that's about to be deprecated that you haven't done, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of the issue with WoW, especially like the classic versions, but even retail. Like, if you aren't continuously playing the game and farming and all that, you do feel like you get left behind significantly. That's one of the big issues.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is you can take a vacation from FF14 at any point and you're fine. Like, it'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the main thing from my point of view. Like I enjoy like the minute-to-minute raiding perhaps, and while like doing the I would enjoy doing tier 5, but I don't enjoy necessarily doing it every week and feeling I have to do it every week.
You can do your progression, you can clear your raid, you do it for a couple of weeks in a row, and then you can agree with your team to just take a break, you know, and then you can go play other games, you can play other classes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, so let's see what we do here.
Grinding, keep being current, because you know there is a stop point, and that's one of the greatest thing in FF14 is there is a goal. If you want to be like, for example, at the forefront of raiding, at the tippy top of the item level, there's no RNG involved. There is a marker, and you can say, okay, at the rate that I'm going, I will achieve that in X amount of week. And that's going to be it. And you'll be set, you know, unless you start, you know, getting other goals. Oh, I want to get another class also to that point, and that's so on and so forth.
All right. Rising to the challenge. Let's see over here. Now, I hear you, what you're saying. It certainly seems a lot better than... I mean, I don't know, it's like... It's just one of those things, like, WoW just feels like, in some ways, like, it should be put to rest at this point.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's due for its own, you know, calamity and you know, an Azeroth reborn or something. Imagine if that's what they would have done with a battle for Azeroth. You know, after Legion. Imagine, you know, Sargeras with the sword and he stabs Azeroth, and it's the end. You know, everything explodes. Game over. And we
Unlocking
start over.
barbershop.
New WoW, new leaf, new system, new engine. Let's go.
Yeah, I just don't think they're willing to do that. They should do that. There's so much stuff. Like, they should just genuinely make a new game, but they can't. So, I mean, this is the sad part, though. It's like there's nothing. Like, WoW is kind of in a shithole. It's losing subs, a lot of subs, right? Classic is whatever.
Yeah, there's a part of it that's like if you put your tinfoil hat on, you know, some people are saying it's managed decline, and they're doing this on purpose so that, you know, there's enough, like they can bring it to a point where they can finally tell their shareholders, look, we're no longer making money with this game. Can we please do something else?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but like that. I don't think so necessarily. Like, I mean, sure, there's obviously disagreements between. There are disagreements between the shareholders and Bobby Kotick, significant ones.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure I would go that far. I think, like, here's the thing. Like, I think when Call of Duty ended up almost being a dismal failure after Infinite Warfare, because like that was the first Call of Duty game in a long time that had really negative reactions associated with it. After that, Bobby Kotick and Activision were willing to significantly change how they were handling Call of Duty, and right now Call of Duty is in significantly better state than it has been before. Like,
Yeah,
the World War II game kind of was like, okay, we fucked up with Infinite War, so we'll release this game that a World War II game, just kind of like a desperate measure.
In a way, it's kind of like, oh, we don't really know what to do, so let's, like, what surefire way it's gonna make something that people will want to buy? Oh, let's just do the most basic, classic, true to Call of Duty name thing we can think of, and take zero risk.
No.
But
then they took risks. But then they took risks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to, because the thing is, as a dev, you're always treading that line. Like, if you ask any gamer what they want, they will say, I want the same exact thing you did before, but different. And it means nothing. Like, you can't have a thing that's exactly the same, but is different. It's, you know, by the nature of being different, it's not the same. So, like, you're always threading that line into, if you give them exactly the same, they're like, well, it's the same, we don't like it because we wanted something new. And if you give them something new, then they're like, well, it's not the same, we don't like it because it's new.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
There's like no winning. So like, the line is very thin, and that's something like an MMO like 14 succeeded because they found that line, and expansion after expansion, they just keep doing the same thing, but they do it like with more mastery, and they do it a little bit better. But they keep the fundamentals the same. They keep the same game that people have liked. Whereas WoW has tried to do different. Like each expansion, they try to reinvent the wheel, bring in new system, trying to make something that's we never seen before, that we've actually seen before, because it's a rehash of an old system, and they just keep bringing new stuff and killing the stuff that came before in the previous expansion, and everybody's just like, and we have tier sets, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's true, but still, I mean, I don't know. It's like with tier sets, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing, because like there's hold on a second. There's the issue that obviously people liked, like some stuff about old expansions, or they liked. I'm just trying to find the boat. Which one should I take? So the issue is, like, obviously people like certain things like tier sets or some other aspects of or some other aspects of a title. that they want to keep seeing in WoW, whereas the developers feel like they want to change stuff continuously. Let's see.
I mean, you can improve the game, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Yeah, that's kind of true. It's like they shouldn't they should stop trying to reinvent the wheel every fucking time.
It's like if you look at the dungeons in FF14, every single one of them after, I want to say level 40, they follow the same mold. It's always like couple of trash pack, a boss, couple of trash packs, a boss, couple of trash pack, last boss, done. Linear. You get 3 boss per dungeons, and it's been basically the formula to make a dungeon that's fast enough to not be annoying and long enough to be a good time. So if it works, you know, if it's not broken, why change it? So the formula is the same. They just keep iterating on that formula. You know, different flavors, different boss mechanics, different, you know, everything. But it's the structure seems the same, and the players are familiar with that, and it's pretty much enjoyed by everyone at this point. So, like, but they're like, when you can expect something in a certain format and you're delivered that expectation, but the specifics of it can change and improve and surprise you, then you have enough element of comfort and enough element of new that it goes along well. And they built the whole game this way, and that's why like a lot of people like it and keep liking it. WoW
That's
just
kind of the
changed.
same thing with what DICE is doing with Battlefield 2042, for instance, or what Creative Assembly has been doing with Total War for a long time. They keep basically keeping to the same formula instead of having to reinvent the game, which is like, yeah, as you said, WoW keeps trying to do that shit. Yeah.
I mean, and it works. It's like if you have your fans and you're profitable, and you make the next sequel to your game. Like if you just keep doing more of what works and iterating on the system that are not so much of a hit, you keep refining your product. The problem is, like, WoW has been changing things that work well and replacing it with things that didn't really go over so well, and then they panic and then they scrap it and try something entirely different.
Yeah. Well, they haven't completely scrapped the garrison system in the game, for instance, which went very poorly for a lot of people. Well, not the garrison. The garrisons... I mean the table, the war table system. The Facebook mobile game stuff.
Yeah. But, like, for example, why remove tier sets when everybody across the board like tier sets? Like, for the sake of change?
Probably because it was harder to balance them or something like that. The guy who's running Blizzard right now, or the guy who's the director of the game, Ion, is very much a by-the-numbers guy, and that's kind of the issue with Shadowlands as well. It's like a by-the-numbers expansion. It's functional, it's fine, it's not broken, it's just dull.
Yeah.
That's the issue. It genuinely is the issue. It's not so much like, oh, Shadowlands is horribly imbalanced, or all that. No, it's just boring.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the fundamental problem of it. It's like, I guess Ion made a decent enough game, but it's like, yeah.
I mean, I kind of keep going back to tier sets because, to me, the removal of tier sets from WoW is the embodiment of the devs that does not understand the player base. In a way, because like,
well, how would they understand the player base when they don't talk to the player base? So when they isolate themselves completely from the player base and refuse to engage with them, that's where the issue really lies with that. Because like they just keep isolating themselves from the people that play their games, and then it's like, oh yeah, we didn't, like, for instance, there was this video by Mike Pretrial. He was talking about. Like, he was talking about they didn't expect people would have such a negative reaction to a game mechanic that they introduced in 9.1. And Oh, or like, oh yeah, sorry, they introduced something in 9.1, and their feeling was like, oh, this is gonna replace tier sets, and like, no. Like, the community is like, what? No, fuck no, that's not the tier set. That's like, because I think that's like some... I don't know exactly what they introduced, because I haven't played Shadowlands in months, but... So I haven't played the latest patch, but they introduced something that has an effect on your character.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, that's what the tier sets are doing. I'm like...
But, like, it's weird, because basically it's kind of almost like... It felt to me when they announced it, like those Shard of Domination, it felt like they were making a fancy new version of just gemming your gear with something that's like a tenth of what the Azerite powers used to be. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, how can we merge these two systems that we had before, but make it less somehow? Like, and that's what they did. But like, the thing is, nobody's excited about that. Like, people are excited about how it's going to look. Like, how is this gear going to look? And the thing is, it doesn't look like anything, because they're just basically gems you put in your gear. Like, but like, and that's the thing. It's like when I compared, like, on FF, whenever a new patch is announced and things like that, like, there's sort of a tradition in Final Fantasy where there's a full gear set for every role in any given dungeon that they put out. So every single dungeon brings a completely new set of gear for everybody. And every time that it's announced, people are super excited, not necessarily about where or what the bosses of the dungeon will be and what the mechanic. No, they just want to see what new gear they're going to get out of this. And you know, Square puts up a picture, and it's all of the classes kind of like lined up in a group pictures, and you can see all the gear set, and that's what gets the traffic, and that's what gets the hype. Like, it's no wonder people care about their characters in an MMO. Like,
yeah, how gear looks matters. Like, for instance, the last time they had gear sets, I believe it was Legion, if I'm not mistaken. And the Legion set, tier sets. The last time they had tier sets was the Legion. And, like, you look at the tier sets of Legion, like, they are amazing. At least, like, for me, the two most Argyris ones, which are basically, like, a remake of the tier 6 ones, like, those are really, like, they're very class iconic, because tier 6 in general was very class iconic. They were some of the best looking sets in the history of the game for a lot of people, and it's like, oh, we get Tumus Argyris, especially the mythic version. Like, it was so special and nice. It wasn't just like a question of like, oh, I'm flexing because I have mythic gear. No, I'm flexing because I have really nice looking gear on me.
Yeah.
That's what made it work. Yeah.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, I remember absolutely zero time when, like, nobody ever asked me, like, hey, can you come and help me out? I need to get this transmog from insert any place in battle for Azeroth.
Because there isn't any, right? Because, yeah, sure, you have different colors on certain sets that all look the same, like all the plate, all that stuff looks the same, but it's like, yeah, there's no incentive to do it. Like, there's no personality in that. People care about, like, the personality of their class as well. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you're a Paladin, you want a set that looks like it's made for a Paladin. If you're a Warrior, you want a set that looks like it's made for a Warrior. With
or the opposite, you know, like, and you can have variants like that. Like, for example, you can have a set that is themed about being like a Fallen from Grace Paladin or something, like the Shadow Priest set in TBC.
Yeah.
And those things are super interesting because they tell a story. And the thing is, like, the things have gotten so generic in the more modern WoW that it's just about the numbers, and there's no story being told. There's no soul into it. There's no artistry and conceptually within, like, the gear sets.
Someone's saying there's a reason to this day the Judgment set for Paladin is still seen as sexy set to look at. Exactly. Yeah, there is a reason.
It was detailed for the time. It was embodying class fantasy. And it was radiating power.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Tales of the Past, if you ever watched that. Tales of the Past 3, where there's this scene where the main character Blazer just shows up with the Ashbringer in there, like wearing that set, and is like, that is what the Paladin is meant to be.
Yeah.
Like the fundamentals of what the Paladin is in our heads. Like that's something a guy making a fan movie understood. Like back in the days of early TBC, late vanilla, understood that's what the Paladin is being. Wearing the Ashbringer wearing the Judgment set, facing the Lich King. That was the cool aspect about it, and I feel like that movie, like the Tales of the Past series, had a much better way of handling the Lich King than Wrath of the Lich King did.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And the thing is, it's not a singular instance of that. Like just lately, the fan-made cinematic for Garrosh.
Oh yeah.
Versus the Blizzard one, it's like, come on.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Well, at least they gave Garrosh a proper send-off in a way.
Yeah, but the fan-made send-off was 10 times better.
Because Blizzard is lazy. That's all there is.
I mean, I don't know if it's laziness or it's just that at this point they're just uninspired.
Yeah, I think that's also it. I don't know. It's like it just really is like so uninteresting to go through Shadowlands for the story. Like I was like, the thing about Shadowlands is that you had to do all that leveling for the story and all that, which is what you do in Final Fantasy as well, right? But it was so dull in WoW. Like it genuinely was so dull doing most of the storyline in Shadowlands. Not all of it. There were some good moments, but it's like most of the time it's like boring as shit.
Yeah. I honestly, like the last time that I was leveling in WoW and that I was having fun leveling into a WoW expansion was WoD.
Oh yeah, I get that. I think there were a lot of missteps story-wise, but yeah, I think WoD had a lot to like. It's kind of sad, isn't it? We're sitting here exalting the qualities of Warlords of Draenor.
I mean, Warlords of Draenor I think gets a lot more shit than it deserves. And you know, in hindsight, it wasn't as terrible as we thought it was at the time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, leveling up in WoD felt like you were getting stronger every level you were getting, every progress you were making in the zone, and every expansion after WoD was like, well, not necessarily Legion, but after Legion, every time you leveled up, it felt like you were losing things. You were losing power. You were losing spells because you no longer had your artifact weapon. Because, you know, you're whatever. Like it's the same with the Shadowlands. You're leveling up in Shadowlands. You're losing your Azerite powers. You're losing your procs. You're losing all kinds of power, and you know, it doesn't feel good. Like basically getting hamstrung as you're progressing through the expansion.
No, it doesn't feel at all. That's actually my kind of, like, I understand the issue, like losing the Ashbringer, for instance, or all the legendary weapons. Just like, okay, like you cannot. There's no other weapon for a Ret Paladin that will ever in the history of the game match what the Ashbringers means for that class. For the class, forget the spec, the class. If you're a Paladin, you're using the Ashbringer. That's not even, oh, but you can transmog it. Okay, but it's not the same. It's like a fake version of it, right?
But the thing is, if they would have good writers and good storytelling, then they could introduce other weapons that would eventually or even immediately become as iconic. Like Ashbringer is iconic because it's been written in an iconic way. Like there were other, like for example, you know, we've never really put a lot of like detailing around like Hooter's hammer, but like we could have found that weapon, you know. And like there's a lot of things, like, you know, or even like Artus's hammer before he swapped it out for Frostmourne.
Yeah.
there are many things they could have done, and many other weapons they could have pulled out of thin air or whatever. Like it could have been like, you know, oh, Jaina's, you know, original staff when she was you know, studying at the whatever. Like there could have been a lot of things that they could have done post artifacts to keep the system alive in a way and not just trash it after the expansion. But I don't know. That the problem is that wheel just keep turning and reinventing itself.
Yeah.
What time is it for you over there?
It's like 10 a.m.
Oh, 10 a.m. Okay,
I'm doing a leveling marathon, but I'm waiting in the dungeon queue right now. So it's like I want to level until it's late at night today. Maybe
yeah, that's kind of what I was watching you, and I was like, man, that queue seems a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty early, so that's the reason. Like right now is not a good time to play on European servers. Let's just say.
Yeah, I was like, that queue seems a little bit weird, as a tank especially.
Well, I'm gonna go focus on this, so I'll talk to you later. Have fun.
Sure. You too.
Meredith. Okay. Or Mederic, sorry. Yeah. You can enter then even if you're mid-size, so you can do basically what you want while waiting. Yeah, sure. I can do a lot of stuff. And I guess I don't have to, like, wait here. I can go do some other stuff. 36 minutes in queue as a healer for a normal mode, 8 raid for a wreck or like weapon grind. Sounds good! Not really. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go get some, yeah, I'm gonna get the attunement done. It's 12 a.m. here, so people falling asleep on NA servers. Yeah, absolutely is. Yeah, don't play until too late at night. Don't play at... Well, I guess this will be a lesson for tomorrow. I should start my stream later a bit. At least if I'm doing dungeons while leveling, which is obviously going to be a big part of it. I aim to get level 6. Like, I don't know how long it would take me. Let me see. Is there a plate... Like, how can I see how much time I've spent playing on this character is a good question. Okay. So yeah, NA server's going to sleep. Yeah. Attuned. Alright. Let's see. Let me go where the heart lies. Ah. Okay, 8 hours and 5 minutes. So maybe I can reach a level 40 or something like that today. There we go. Commence, ladies and gentlemen. If I have to wait in a queue for another DPSer, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. You're a DPSer in a dungeon queue. You should be bending on your knees in joy for the fact that you actually have been graced by a healer and a tank. Well, isn't this interesting? The Tamtara Deep Craft. I'm sorry for not having the music on, but yeah. Copyright issues, so... you'll find a lot more tanks. Well, yeah, because you play a certain class of a certain role. Right, because you're hard stuck in it. If you're playing a gladiator, I guess you're hard stuck to it, right? So. Not copyright strike, copyright match, so I can't monetize the stream. It's a bit of a annoying issue. Oh, I had that. On the previous stream I had that, so I don't know. So I guess I could enable. It might be both. All right. I just don't want to take the risk, to be honest. Yeah. I got the feeling it would be. I think it's the generic music that's the bigger issue, really. Not necessarily the big cinematic music. What the hell? But when you reach Pramos, because it's very tailored to the fights, okay. So this valley, barely. Hmm. Oh, that's nice. That they have their own instances with no trash. Well, I'm level 9, well, 23 really, but I'm scaling down. An enemy approaches. Void soul counter. Level 30 is the big level anyway. I see. Well, these guys don't really have much to offer special. That's particularly special. Level starts to matter more. Okay. So I actually have mechanics that I have to play. That's good. Alright, let me go ahead. Yeah, older dungeons, okay. Ah, I see. Alright, one more orb. Steel barrier? Okay. Right, we gotta get this one. That's a lot of AoE. He has a little fairy. Alright, let's go down. Boss time. Who summons me from the void to reside within the screwed vessel? Let's fight. It's a mind flayer. I'll let them worry about AoE damage. It's over. All good. Okay. Now let's see who I need to talk to. Let's talk with the one right there. That way you at least get something out of it. Alright. So I got something out of it, I guess. Okay. They're only level, those level and not, okay. Alright. Well, let's talk with this guy. Welcome to the housing zone. Oh, wait. Yes, player housing. Right. Well, one of the 4 housing zones, yeah. You can now teleport to the residential district. Good. You don't have, okay. I see. What's with all the fireworks, though? Seems like a constant party over here. Okay, so midsummer event. Very well. Oh man, this is hilarious. Oh man. So Cat's Girl's still in play. Alright, this is the third and final dungeon. Good. Alright. Don't tell me there's romance in this game. Romance options. Clearly. That's what we need right now. Only with other play. What do you mean exactly? RPing, or is there something more than that? If you know what I mean. Yeah, I do know what you mean. I know what you mean very, very well. Alright, where is that Alchemist Guild? Actually, what the fuck am I doing? I have it unlocked, so I should just teleport there. There is ERP. But in-game, what the? What? In-game weddings with other players? Okay. Well, it's not the weirdest thing I've seen in a while. So I have a gladiator quest, don't I? I think. Could be wrong. Am I wrong? Oh my god. Oh. Yeah. Well, let's go help the gladiator. Some nice things happening in the world. Alright, that's an injured gladiator right there. So is there's a point of ambush for any evidence? Alright, point of ambush now. Let's see what this injured gladiator has to say for himself. Alright, let's go. Maybe. Eventually, if I keep playing the game, but for now I'm interested in reaching level 60 and then buying the game actually once I've reached the end of the trial, buying the actual game. The trial is really nice actually. Alright, I'm gonna teleport to the Gladiators Guild. Perseverers are tough, yeah. I wasn't actually paying attention over here, so whatever. Hold on, I wanna do Call of the Desert. Alright, so I'm gonna go into the Adventurers Guild. Like teleportation. Papa Shan, of course. Alright, let's go do this particular quest. Yeah. Bedtime right now. Have a good one, Mederic. Have a good one. And I am just gonna keep going over here to see what I can find. Ooh, that was nasty. Close. Very, very close. That's a level 50. Don't want to face that unless I want to die. Swiftly and painfully. Up and up we go. Yeah, I'm not gonna level sync for a fate that I'm not interested in doing. Alright, sprint. Really need to get that amount though. Alright, Silver Bazaar. Mela. What's up? Okay, I am Let's fight! Oh, that's an enormous amount. The conjurers are the greater threat, others can wait. Charity of Alacran. That's that, right? Or is it? Alright, so what has happened over here? Alright. Old gonna teleport to the Gladiators Guild. Alright, so search for the veteran gladiator near. Okay. Let's find that's the veteran gladiator. Near the hammers in Western Tanalan. And then once that's done, there's more dungeons to be done. That's a nice fight. Alright, so teleport there, talk with the veteran, report back to Mela. Then let's see what she gives me. The plot thickens. Into a copper hell. Hold on, nope. There is someone I want to talk with there. Okay. Speak with stone torch. All right. At the copper bell mines. Alright, that's gonna do well. So just go there, do this quest. And then I'm gonna do the copper bell mines before I return. Before I return into the city, that is. Alright, that doesn't lead anywhere. So it's just a dead end over here. Ah, I see, okay. Alright, I'm just gonna be right back. Actually, tell you what, boys and girls, I'm gonna stop for now because it's just not a good time. And well, lesson learned. Start streams later on in the day, on other days. And yeah, I'm just gonna resume this in a couple of hours. Just gonna take a break, get some rest, and keep going after like a couple hours until midnight. So I'll see you soon.